Today, I am joined by Craig Hodges, one of the greatest three-point shooters in NBA history. He recently wrote and released the book Long Shot: The Triumphs and Struggles of an NBA Freedom Fighter. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Craig.
Appreciate it, man.
The book itself, it really explores your whole life, from your upbringing through your college and NBA careers all the way up until today. Much of the early part of the book really focuses on your upbringing in Chicago Heights. So, would you be willing to talk us through kind of the role that your family and the community itself played in shaping your mind and your values?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Once again, just thanking God for an opportunity, to speak about, things that have been pertinent in my life, and nothing more pertinent than, the family and the community that I was raised in, man. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world, knowing that, it was truly a village, man, to know that everybody cared. We lived in the projects where we didn't lock our doors, didn't have a key for our house when we moved out, stuff like that, the memories that I know shaped how I think about life, and to be a baby and be part of the civil rights movement and seeing, the activities that was going on not only in my household but within the community. It was part of my constitution early in life, and to be able to go on and study. And my aunts were sticklers, as well as my mom and my sister, about me being able to read and write and knowing, the importance of that in comparison to my uncles, and who taught me how to play sport. It was a good balance for me that I had the best of both worlds, that I had a good educational support group and I had an awesome sports group. So it was one of those things that I was destined to do what I'm doing. So I feel good for that.
Wonderful. And certainly I think that background certainly kind of influenced heavily a lot of the choices you were kind of making throughout your career itself. And so, as one of the most vocal, activists, certainly of your era in the NBA, were you surprised at all, if that's one way to think of it, by the hesitation that you received from other players, when you were advocating for certain causes?
Really, at that point in my career, not really, because honestly speaking, I knew what I was up against. I would share with every player that I played with, basically for a 10-year career, what I was studying, and what I was studying all the time was something that was of a conscious perspective, something that was most of the time counter what you were learning in college and what you were learning. It was more of a perspective of, looking at things from, history. History is usually taught on three levels, man. You have the perpetrator, you have the collaborator, and you have the victim. And the victim is never really, the history books aren't told from a victim's perspective. It's told from the perspective of people who conquered. And I think from that perspective, I've always been for the underdog. I've always been for the oppressed. I've always been for the masses. I'm with the masses. So from that standpoint, I looked at things from an alternate side of things, and oftentimes I would share that, and it would be some great conversation throughout my career, and it continues to be that. And I just think at that period of time, players were more cognizant of how much money they could make in this short opportunity in life, which is cool. For me, it was more of a thing where I understood the perspective of using the power, the visibility of being an NBA player to try to galvanize support for those issues that people in the inner cities were facing.
Yeah, one of those, the most famous moments, I think, where you were, doing everything you could to really be a voice for the voiceless, was when you gave then President George H.W. Bush a handwritten letter during the Bulls' championship visit to the White House. And, in the 25 years since, I think there's been a whole lot of assumptions that have been made about the contents of that letter. And so I was wondering if you would be willing to share with us here today, what actually did you write to the president?
Well, basically, it was, and so crazy how things are, man. Over in 2015, I was approached by a guy who was writing, doing the thing for ESPN 30 for 30. And he wanted to do it about the letter. So we got together and we did all the filming and everything, and they never released it. And it's been over 2 years now. So it's funny how the letter is pertinent today, and the fact that the NBA won't allow it to come out is something that's striking to me, but I love it. I love it because it puts me on the right side of history. But the letter entailed, basically it said, Dear Mr. President, I want to appreciate the invite for coming to this great edifice, understanding that I wouldn't get a chance to come unless I was part of the championship team, and that being the case, I want to thank you for this opportunity, but also I want to make sure that I speak on behalf of those who are disenfranchised, those who are voiceless, those who wouldn't get a chance to come here, and like me being raised in the projects, I would have never had a chance to come here. And that being the case, I want to make sure that you consider the issues of poor people who don't feel like they have any hope, and especially I want to speak on behalf of the African Americans who have been here under 4 years of free labor, and that our issues need to be heard as well as those of foreign policy. So would you consider these issues the same way you consider foreign policy? And we're not begging for anything, we just want a partner. So it wasn't anything that was disrespectful at all, and the garment that I went in was totally in line with a royal occasion. So, it was one of those things I was looked at as being slapped in the face to the NBA and to the president, but President Bush was totally cool on that day, man. And that's what's so funny when people like, man, Bush got you blackballed now, man. I don't know what it was. I can't speak to it, but I just know I was taught to accept people for face value, and that day it was cool to me. I understand his politics and his policies, but as a human being on October 1st, 1991, George Bush is cool with me.
I think certainly kind of the culmination of certainly that letter and, some of the other things, you're trying to get, Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson to, boycott the NBA Finals, for example. All of those things, I think, in context, paint a picture where certainly there's a very compelling case, and you make it in your book, that the NBA did blackball you. And so kind of looking at things now, 25 years later, and you have players like LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony who are, much more vocal and visible, in their advocacy for certain causes. In those 25 years that have passed between then and now, what do you think are the main factors that really have made a difference in terms of the league's acceptance for activist athletes?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is, when you talk about this, the sheer economics of it, man. The sheer economics of knowing that you have $40 million in the bank, knowing that you have another contract coming, and you're in a political climate where you can speak. You have the safety net of social media. You have the safety net of, that million people that will speak on your behalf, even if it's from afar. So it's a different climate, but at the same time, I think so many of the issues are still relevant, and even more so when we look at in Chicago this year alone, we already had over 1,000 shootings or something crazy like that. So I think the issues are still prevalent. Now it's just a matter of how, as an athlete or an entertainer, how can you tightrope it? I call it tightroping because you have to play the corporate game, and then you have to play. You have to be where you're from, and that's the part that I think we play this corporate role, but the natural spiritual self is in a quandary because they know we can do more, and we know we should be doing more. So it's a work in progress, man, and I applaud all those athletes like Colin Kaepernick, LeBron, D-Wade, and the players who've spoken during the SBs, Carmelo, who's a constant voice. We have to continue that, man, and be like Dr. King told us, be the drum beat and the drum majors for justice.
In terms of, and certainly we have come some ways in the past 25 years, and you're seeing many more athletes, I think, take that role now. Do you still think, looking at the situation, though, that it's really just the superstars like the LeBrons, like the Dwayne Wades, who are kind of protected when they take that activist kind of...
Well, the thing is that you look at it, the rate that the level of player that you spoke about, that would almost coincide with the level of players. So you stop and you think, when you go into, we can break it down this way, you go into a sporting goods store, what players are you going to see that's relevant? You're going to see LeBron, you're going to see Curry, you're going to see Harden, you're going to see Westbrook. You know what I'm saying? You're only going to see certain percentage of players. Those are the players that have corporate endorsements. Those are the players that are somewhat protected to a degree, but depends on what type of action they make. That endorsement can be gone in a heartbeat depending on what your action is. Now, we haven't measured what level of ramification comes against an athlete of a LeBron status if he decided to do something on a heavier level. Should he get to the finals and boycott? Knowing that that's the only time when we truly can affect ownership is at playoffs and All-Star Weekend. All-Star Weekend is gone. So now we're at that point in the finals where players actually wanted some true concessions made, where owners have to put their money where their mouth is, and as far as these issues concerning poor people, those disenfranchised, people of color, people who have been oppressed for the most part. They need to start speaking to that issue. Now, we haven't discussed it because I don't know if players have really took the serious time to look at how we handle social protest. How do we handle social disobedience and civil disobedience? So those are the things and those are the measures that I studied in college. So my movement was trying to get more players. I tried to get all of my teammates to worry about she get to the White House. None of them took took it. They took it as not a high issue. But until we move as a rank and file of players, so you can have the upper echelon speaking, but we have to have that 11th and 12th player also speaking. Like with Colin Kaepernick when he did it. How many players in the locker room felt the same way? They could have his back and made even more of a solid protest of it. But, you left him out there to his own, man, and that's not cool.
That moment of solidarity would have made all the difference in the world, I think.
And that's the thing, man, that, like you say, you can capture that moment. We've seen it around the world. We've seen it. We saw it in Poland with Lech Walesa and what he was able to do with the Polish people. We've seen it in Romania in 1989 when they did their movement. We saw it in the Arab Spring. We've seen it. And it's just the point where people are so upset with the hierarchy of things. And this, we see it here in America with the Black Lives Matter. We've seen it with, what was it, the Occupy Wall Street. We see it. We see the women in the street against some of the Trump policies. So we see the social dissatisfaction of status quo, knowing that it's enough for everybody, man. So that's been my position, is that to whom much is given and much is required. So if you have a social media group that's 2-3 million people, you have a platform, man. So we have to utilize it correctly.
One of the questions that I don't think gets asked enough, and I think is very much kind of piggybacking on where we've been, is that, everybody listening to this interview at home, we're everyday people, right? We're not superstars. We're not NBA players. We don't have that microphone. So within our own lives, within our own homes, within our own communities, what advice do you have for, just the everyday people,
One of the most interesting things that I've been experiencing, when I was writing the book, I didn't really think about right now when I'm doing interviews about it. All I wanted to do, man, they told me I had to have 50,000 words, brother. So I wasn't thinking about no post interviews, none of that. But within the context of how it's been rolled out and how it's taken a life of its own, me and you probably wouldn't have spoken if I wouldn't have written the book. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
These type of, friendships and, journalistic, type things happen. But it's been so eye-opening for me that the majority of people who read my book are Caucasian. And I was in Evanston, Illinois, and I did interview. I was doing a book signing, and the discussion, because the way that I like to do it is I don't, have a pre-statement, and we just question and answers, so we can start a conversation. So in the conversation, the question of white privilege arises. And a lady probably like 45 years old, she says, it hasn't been until the last 6 months that I realized that I was white privileged and that I was raising my children under an idea of that white privilege. And it was so shocking to me how subtle it was, and how easy it was for me not to even think of how truly privileged I was. So it's certain things like that have been eye-opening for me, that have been cool from the standpoint that conversations are happening, different people are looking at things from a slightly different angle. And I hope that, my book has played a role in, continuing the conversation towards solutions as opposed to continuing the conversation for confrontation, and combativeness and beefing. It's not about beefing, man. It's about us getting together, having some type of solutions for this next generation.
Yeah, in terms of kind of looking to that next generation, I think one of the things, and there's certainly many, that makes your story so special is that your life has really come full circle now. You're back coaching basketball at your former high school where you played for at Rich East. And so, outside of the game of basketball itself, and obviously how to be amazing three-point shooters, like what are those life lessons that you're hoping to instill in your young players?
Well, the biggest thing is that how valuable every time, if we look at it in basketball sense, okay, we say value to basketball, value to possession. It's value your life's breath, value your next step, value the opportunity to have a chance to make decisions. Now value getting the proper information to make correct decisions. So it's certain things that I try to get them to look at on just a minute level and how you can affect your own life's potential by making just a stupid mistake that you don't even think is going to affect anything in your life. But it winds up affecting everything that you possibly can do in the future. So it's a day-to-day, man. It's a day-to-day. So every day, like tonight, we'll be in the gym at 7 o'clock. And that's what it's about, making sure that during those hours when things can go down, we want it to be going down in the gym. You know what I mean? Yeah. We want it to be going down with us shooting jump shots, not guns. We want it to go down with us making conscious reads on the court, making conscious reads in our class, and knowing that when I'm making these reads and I'm out here on the street, I'm being conscious about the reads that I make out here too. That I'm making a read not to go hang out on the corner with these brothers hanging out. So there's certain things that we have a choice, and we have to just get them to feel like they're in a position now to make conscious choices because they have been informed properly.
Excellent. And so, certainly with that, you've got a really hands-on role with those young men in that sense, kind of in the, looking forward, not just for your players, but I think in part you can kind of conceptualize it that way, kind of looking forward 10, 20 years. Like, what are your hopes for the future?
Well, I think the biggest thing, man, is just peace. I think until we get peace and we get off of this aggressive mentality, until we get off of this you versus us mentality, and never saying who they are and the transparency thing. It's certain things that I feel the generation that is in this millennials that they calling it, I feel like they have a certain spirit about being right one to another. And I think that the old guard is really fighting not to let that energy come through. And I think we have to continue to maintain that beat that, hey man, I love humanity, So if it's a brother that's a Mexican, if it's a white brother, hey, we can do what we need to do as people. Now, once those actions start to permeate hate, permeate hurt, and Dr. King, I always try to just monitor myself by the evil triplets of racism, militarism, and economic exploitation. If we can just always guard against those, I think we can maintain good balance in life and move forward. So my hope is, it ain't even hope, man. My knowing is that it's going to be peace on earth. And in knowing that, I'm operating in that mindset and nothing else. So I'm not operating in a mindset where I got a whole bunch of guns. I ain't got no weapons. My weapon is I feel the force of the creator and the creation of, if I'm on the right side of things, no weapon form can prosper. But we have to dwell in that.
Well, this might be a unique one, perhaps you've gotten, but as many of our listeners and readers both are really truly fans of literature and in many cases are writers themselves. Could you kind of talk us through just the writing process that you went through in putting Long Shot together?
And for me, I'm an avid writer, and I love, and I'm like a lot of your listeners and your audience as far as appreciating writing for what writing is, appreciating it for, when I look at just how much of a lost art is going towards when we talk about keyboards and the like, that it's something when you can pick up a piece of paper and a pen. And for me, when I started the journey of 50,000 words, I've written well over 50,000 words in college, and I have books written already, but they're not structured. And that's the biggest part of this process for me, is seeing the structure part of it, seeing the ability to, instead of just writing, I'm sitting in the room, but to actually make that room come to life in somebody else's eyes by the words you put on paper. That's so cool to me, to be able to structure things and sentences and paragraphs and to be able to get someone to visually see what you want them to see, and then they get it. And I think that's been the biggest thing, man, is to be able to finally see my book in the library, to finally see my book in a bookstore, and to know that there was a journey and a process. And for anybody out there, don't get discouraged with the process. Just understand that you have to be crystallized in your focus on your story. And that's the thing that, I was always confronted with, probably in the 10 rewrites that I did.
Wow.
Or, I got with somebody who showed me the process, which is Roy Fannin, who was from Haymarket Books. We got together and he showed me, how you got some good stuff, but it's got to be focused. Sometimes I have a tendency to maybe go into abstract, and he pulled me back in to get the focus on making sure the story, every story has a whole lot of parts, but not all the parts that need to be in your book, and that's the thing that, as a writer, I think you have to know at some point you can't please everybody, and that in writing that you got to write to what you're passionate about and stay within that passion of what you're writing towards, and you'll get done. And when you get done, you'll be happy with the process as well as the work. For me, I feel like, when I look at my book with my jump shot on the cover, it's so cool because my jump shot is almost indicative of the work that I put into writing. You know what I'm saying? That it's the same type of energy that I had to, it started with a thought, and then that thought went into a sentence, and now we are into 10,000 words. Now we can count down, we had 1,000 words that high. So to see the process and know that it has to be a process, and it's not just going to be, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write, and then I'm going to come out with a book. It's a little bit bigger than that. Not that that's not a real big portion of it, but that's just a small portion of it. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. And the biggest part is don't get discouraged about it and stay with it, because if it's in your heart and in your mind to do it, do it.
Wonderful. Yeah, certainly. I mean, the book, you've got an incredible story to tell. The book itself is quite incredible as well. Any chance at all we'll see at some point in the future a second book?
Oh, no doubt. Actually, I have two more. I have one that I'm writing. It's called An Apology to the Women, and it's based on me being able to apologize to any woman that I've hurt in my life, as well as to any family members that may have, I may have stepped on toes and unknowingly, as well as for people who haven't been able to apologize to women for what they may have done. So, right now I'm just in the process of almost doing what I'm calling like not almost a survey of women, just to see what type of things have happened in their lives that they feel like they should have been someone should have been apologizing for, and they didn't get that apology. So I want to apologize on behalf of the person that didn't even, So this works like that, as well as I have a couple basketball books that I'm working on. I'm working on one with Tex Winter, love writing, man.
Wonderful. No, and I certainly look forward to those books. Well, thank you so much. This has been a true honor to me. And
to all your listeners, you have a blessed weekend, and y'all be peaceful and safe.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again so much, Craig.